Good morning. I'm Ellison Travis. I'm the acting U.S. Attorney here in the Middle District of Louisiana. We're here to provide some information on ongoing proactive law enforcement operations going on in Baton Rouge. With us today, we have our partners. I want to thank Governor Landry, Attorney General Merle, U.S. Marshal Bill Brown, Special Agent in charge for FBI, Jonathan Tapp, ATF Special Agent in charge, Joshua Jackson, DEA Special Agent in charge, Steve Hopper, HSI Agent in charge, Adam Parks, Louisiana Colonel State Police, Robert Hodges, Louisiana Probation and Parole Director, Corey Acosta, Baton Rouge Mayor President, Sid Edwards, East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff, Sid Gotro, our Chief, TJ Morse, and East Baton Rouge Parish DA Helen Moore. I want to thank all these partners for what they have done. Due to their efforts, federal grand juries have returned 52 indictments, charging 68 defendants with various federal crimes, including distribution of fentanyl, distribution of meth, possession of firearms by prohibited persons, who would be those who have prior convictions or who are subject to a domestic violence restraining order. We've had people charged with using firearms in furtherance of other crimes and with assaulting federal officers. So the first person who's going to talk today is someone I especially want to thank, who has brought a lot of resources and a lot of energy to our fight on crime, against crime in Baton Rouge, and that's our governor. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I want to begin, first of all, for thanking the President and the White House and Pam Bondi for putting U.S. Attorney Ellison Travis in acting role. I think that plays a huge part in why we're here today. I think that the people of the state over 18 months ago said they were sick and tired of being sick and tired about crime. We took an initiative last year, beginning in the state of New Orleans, in the state, sometimes they think they're a state, in the city of New Orleans, and we instituted a Troop NOLA there. And we worked with our federal partners at that time to start to work on reducing crime. Our hope was always that the city of New Orleans operations and the way that we did it would give us a model that we could then replicate around the state of Louisiana. We would not have been able to do that without the help of our Attorney General, who's here as well. Along with the Troop NOLA operation and the terrorist attack that occurred in New Orleans showed me the ability to bring federal forces to bear with our local and state forces in being able to run very complicated, complex, and great crime reduction operations. This operation today is a result of that. We have been working behind the scenes with the mayor, with the DA's office, with the sheriff, with the chief, with BRPD, in order to help reduce crime in Baton Rouge. We don't need to look any further than the tragedy of the great officer we had to bury this weekend to say that this city has a problem with crime. Sergeant Caleb Eisworth, the loss of his life, unfortunately, is an example about the violence that has been going on for far too long in this city. I am not going to let his death go in vain. This operation is part of trying to bring and restore some law and order into this city. Again, I want to thank President Trump, General Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, the White House, the U.S. the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and Kash have all been briefed on this operation in full support. And again, I think that when you're able to bring those federal resources, when you're able to tie the FBI in with the state police, with BRPD, with the sheriff's office, when you see that type with ATF, with the U.S. Marshal's office, I'm telling you, it is literally historic, the ability of these men and women to be working together in such a coordinated effort. And when we take bold action, we see these results. And I'm here to tell you that the results of today, which I know that both the FBI and ATF and Hill are going to go into a little more detail about, but the results of today's operation is not the end. This is important for the people of the city of Baton Rouge to understand. This is just the beginning. We will bring whatever resources necessary to this city and continue to work with our federal partners in order to stem the violence that's been going on for far too long. This operation resulted in a reduction of violent gang activity and included the arrest, which will go of over 106 arrests, seizure of over 100 firearms, 32 machine gun conversion devices, almost $250,000 in cash seized, 693 grams of fentanyl seized, over 6,200 ounces of marijuana, 41 ounces of synthetic mojo seized, over 3,900 grams of cocaine seized, heroin, methamphetamines. I mean, the list goes on and on. These are deadly drugs that are impacting this city. We, both Liz and I, for over 8 years now, have been serious about doing something about the opioid epidemic that has gripped this nation. And this list of drugs fits exactly that. We bury far too many young people as a result of these drugs, and the pushing of those drugs. We bury far too many people because of the violence that those drugs lead to. And so again, I literally want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, U.S. DOJ, the U.S. Marshal's Office, the Louisiana State Police, the Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, the Baton Rouge Police Department, and everyone that has been involved in this operation. These men and women who have engaged in this operation have done so in order to stand on that thin blue line to protect this community from those that seek to do it harm. And so today, again, marks the beginning, not the end, of a constant operation that will continue until we see a severe reduction in violent crime. Our hope is that we don't have to do that anymore. And let me just say one other thing. Our district attorney here in East Baton Rouge is under a tremendous amount of pressure. The amount of resources that he has to do the job that he does is actually not there. And I want to say today that the state is committed. I know I was talking to Liz earlier, to do what we can to continue to support that office. It's important for the citizens of this state to understand that the men and women who wear a badge, they do the first part in the criminal justice system. Those cases then have to go to a prosecutor, into the district attorney's office. The failure of delivering resources to the district attorney here inhibits our ability to put people behind bars. And then, of course, it goes into the courtroom. But I want you to know that your district attorney here in East Baton Rouge is doing an unbelievable job with limited resources. But we're not going to allow the limited resources that he has to handicap that office. This state is absolutely dedicated to help him. With that, I think I'll bring up the FBI. Yes, Jonathan Tapp with the FBI to go into more detail.
Thank you, Governor Landry. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Tapp, Special Agent in charge of the FBI's New Orleans field office. First, I'd like to recognize Governor Landry's leadership in bringing together all law enforcement partners to tackle violent crime and criminal gangs here in Baton Rouge. This combined effort has produced significant results against violent crime here. The FBI was proud to be a part of this mission, and we brought agents and intelligence analysts from our violent crime rapid deployment team from FBI field offices across the nation to augment our people permanently assigned here to Baton Rouge. This coincided with Operation Summer Heat, the FBI's initiative to crush violent crime across the streets of our great nation. Together, we carried out 34 law enforcement operations targeting multiple locations in just a few months' time. Most importantly, the majority of our operations were led by the men and women who know these streets best. Troopers, officers, detectives, and agents from right here in Baton Rouge. We targeted the Vultures, Bleedus, 60 Gang, and BBG gangs, whose members are responsible for murders, drug trafficking, and robberies across the city and parish. We hit them hardest in the 4 neighborhoods they call home. The result so far, as the governor said, more than 100 arrests, the seizure of more than 100 firearms, dozens of machine gun conversion devices, fentanyl and other dangerous drugs, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. The majority of the people arrested face multiple charges. And this is just the beginning of our collaborative, intensified focus on violent crime and gangs here. We'll continue this effort here and across the state. To the people of Louisiana, we still need your help to clean up our streets. Please, if you have anything to provide help, call us anonymously at 1-800-CALL-FBI, or you can submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. And finally, I want to thank every partner here today and you, sir, Governor Landry. We look forward to continuing this important work together. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce ATF Special Agent in Charge, Josh Jackson. Sir.
Thank you, brother. Hey, good morning. My name is Joshua Jackson. I'm the ATF SAC for the New Orleans Field Division. And I just want to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit more and kind of share with the public exactly, how this stuff comes together and what we do as partners and leaders within the state of Louisiana. Governor Landry pulled us all into a huddle in mid-April, late April. And his ask was that he wanted to see a focused violent crime reduction strategy that would focus on shooters, gang members, and people dealing in narcotics. We outlined activities and programs that we did in New Orleans that were successful there, and we executed on that here in Baton Rouge. ATF led in a separate investigation to where Operation Broken Carousel. So what we did is we layered in trace data, NIBIN data, and other crime gun intelligence, and using our partners, their intel and insight, to identify shooters and individuals who are dealing narcotics in these different areas of town to do focused, proactive undercover operations. Now, to do this, you have to get out there and meet people where they're at, meet the criminal element where they're at. And these undercover operations are very dangerous, they're very risky, and we take that on in all regards to push forward public safety and have an impact in reducing and limiting violent crime. We did have an agent that was injured during this operation. We had an agent that was shot. We had our undercover agents that were robbed by some of these individuals. We also had this happen to us in New Orleans. So when we do these undercover operations, they're very risky, they're very dangerous, but we continue to show up and meet and lead with our partners so we can have impact, be the tip of the spear in preventing, reducing, solving violent crime. Now, the outcome of this proactive investigation, we did over 37 undercover operations that were focused on particular targets that were previously identified. We recovered 39 firearms. That included stolen weapons, shotguns, long guns, pistols. We also recovered 4 machine gun conversion devices. We recovered nearly 10 kilograms of a mix of different narcotics, fentanyl, methamphetamine, black tar heroin, crack cocaine, all these things that are ravaging our community and our young people. Now, the practicality of what this impact has and removing these guns and weapons and narcotics, and also holding these people accountable in federal court, how it impacts the community of Baton Rouge is that when your young people are going out to a nightclub after LSU game and they're hanging out at a Zydeco bar, it's less likely that you're going to have a mass shooting event occur because these weapons, these bad actors that are prone to do something like that are not going to be sitting in federal prison. It's also less likely that you're going to have your aunt or your father carjacked on the way to work or to a bank. It also means that we're going to have less deputies, state troopers, patrol officers who are approaching a vehicle and they're going to be confronted with somebody who is shooting at them with a machine gun conversion device. When our other partners are hitting houses and serving search warrants, it's less likely that they're going to be shot at because these more violent criminals are now put behind bars. That also sends a message to the rest of the individuals who have not yet identified, but we will identify you, make them less inclined to keep furthering this type of violent crime. That's the practicality of what this operation, this joint initiative with all the partners, what it has on the community. And moving forward, this is something that is sustainable. It's something that we are doing around the state. We're not going to let you know what other cities that we're going to, but Governor Landry already has identified other areas that we're going to be working on as a collective team. So you will see more of this as we move forward. And at the end of the day, ATF, our priorities and our main mission is public safety, having meaningful impact in addressing public safety and working with our partners. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our district attorney.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, Governor, Madam Attorney General. First of all, I'd be remiss if I did not say the amount of respect that I have for the men and women that have put their lives on the lines, and as you heard, one shot, others injured during this entire operation. We all stand here with coats and ties. We're not on the street doing what they do. I had the honor to look at some of the footage, hear some of the language, see what happened as these young men and women risked their lives to buy drugs, buy guns at their own peril. And I saw that firsthand. It scared the hell out of me to see what they go through on a daily basis. It's not only just the federal agents that were involved, it's all of the state troopers, the city policemen, the sheriff, all the other agencies that are here that are represented. So this comes at a cost. And although few people were injured, the cost to them is also mentally and emotionally. I know it's draining on them. This really started, as a few of us noted, last year when I spoke to the governor and the attorney general, and I said that I'm drowning and I really need help. I really need some federal help. And because, trust me, when the federal authorities are around, the people on the street know that they're around and they're taking action. You can hear it and you can see it. You can hear it on prison phone calls. And so it was extremely important. And the governor called the meeting of all of us together. The meeting was fairly awkward because the governor was very direct and stern with a lot of us that were there. And he did say, we need help. We need help for Baton Rouge. And this is the way I'd like to start. And so, but for that meeting, us getting started with the governor and attorney general and the help of all of our federal, local, and state agencies, we would not be here. So at this point, our work really begins as prosecutors. And as everyone in this room knows, we are desperate at the DA's office, despite the efforts that the mayor and the city council and those are making to try to make us whole. The governor and I had a great conversation again today about adding more additional DAs to Baton Rouge and other resources. Liz has given us so much assistance with resources that we would not otherwise have that have helped us a lot. An overwhelming number of the cases that are being made throughout this summertime will come to the DA's office. We've already charged many of them already, but the work just begins. So we need to be able to do our part, as the governor said, not only on the street, but in court. And we have to be adequately prepared to do that with the right people. And I do hope with everyone's help here that we're going to get to that point to make Baton Rouge a safer place. And I just want to say that I appreciate everyone's effort, particularly you guys and girls who are on the street, making this happen day in and day out, that do not get the recognition that you deserve. I want you to hear from all of us that hats off to you, and we're glad that everyone's safe. Thank you.
Any questions?
Everyone can get a question as long as it's on topic, and we can maybe just start from left to right, if that works.
Yep.
Right here.
Sure, you said that this is the beginning of, there's gonna be more of this. What else is gonna be done?
Well, look, I think that the district attorney's statements are well grounded. I've always identified or explained to the public that our criminal justice is like a three-legged stool. And one component, one stool of that are the brave men and women that go out there and nab these folks. The one thing that puts those men and women in danger is having them arrest someone only to have that person back out on the street, right? Okay? So then it moves to the courtroom. And it is up to these judges to put the necessary bonds in place to keep these people, these dangerous people, off the street. Then the prosecutors, which is why I'm so excited today. Look, having the U.S. Department of Justice lean in, this is a game changer. The election of President Trump was a game changer. Why? Because he made public safety a #1 topic. And so as it moves from the prosecutor into the courtroom, it then becomes a judge's issue. And so the spotlight then moves to the judges. But guess what? When all three of those legs stay strong, our communities stay safe. There's no reason that the people in those neighborhoods don't deserve to live in peace. In fact, they deserve to live in peace more than anyone else because those are disadvantaged neighborhoods. They don't have the ability that some of the other neighborhoods in Baton Rouge to have nice alarm systems or security or whatnot. Those people are the hardworking people in this city, and they deserve to live in safety. And so, again, law enforcement has done its job now. Now it's up to the courtroom to be able to keep them behind bars.
So with that, what kind of support and extra help are you gonna give to DA Hiller Moore?
Well, look, we talked earlier about adding some additional warrants to the district attorney's office. That gives him more prosecutors. He's having a real problem retaining. A lot of the district attorneys around the state, Liz knows that, continually are having a problem retaining lawyers inside their office because of a pay scale issue. I mean, we know, everyone understands the cost of inflation over the last few years. And so it's getting harder and harder to retain them. And so we're talking about getting him some additional warrants. We've seen some great work done, be honest with you. I'll give some kudos out to the district attorney up in Shreveport. He's asking for some more warrants. I think that this year we'll start to look at rewarding those district attorneys who are getting serious about prosecuting crime and putting people behind bars and get them the resources necessary. I think that's a conversation we're going to have with the legislature.
Anyone else?
Was there ever any intention to place a LSP troop in Baton Rouge, like a troop BR or something?
We got a great one. It's called headquarters. We got a big one. I mean, look, if there's any place that doesn't need another troop, it's actually right here. I mean, they got two of them. They got two of them in the headquarters. I mean, listen, the sad part, this is the thing that just has aggravated me the most. This city has the most amount of resources to be able to bring to bear to fight crime. What I'm telling you today is I've never been, as a former law enforcement officer, I've never been happier than today. To see the work of an FBI agent next to an ATF agent, next to a U.S. Marshal, then we have integrating the state police, the sheriff's office, and the Baton Rouge Police Department, to see those people, when they work together, this is what you find. And so, no, I don't think we need that. I think that some of the tactics that we used in New Orleans are going to help us replicate. I've always said, if you fix New Orleans, you fix any place, right? And so I think that the lessons learned over the last 18 months, and I know that the people of Baton Rouge and many other cities around the state have been anxious. They probably said, well, Governor, is New Orleans the only place that you're going to go fight crime? No, but it takes time to build these cases and to learn great tactics. Why? Because when you think about the operation we just had and only one officer ended up being shot, I prayed every night. It is not an easy and safe operation. It's dangerous. And so the lessons learned from one operation to the next only help to reinforce our ability to put criminals behind bars and do it safely. Yes, ma'am.
Regarding another public safety initiative, the National Guard troops in DC, do you know how long they'll be there? Are there any parameters for when they depart?
They'll be there as long as the president needs them. I'm glad you asked that question. I'll tell the people in the state I am not in any way worried that the amount of guardsmen we sent to DC impact our ability to respond to a hurricane. Anybody who believes that doesn't know how to count. Piper?
Yes, so this incentive system you'd like to see in place for the DAs, what would that look like?
Well, again, you know, that's a great question, because when we talk about warrants, It's not to arrest Hitler, okay? It is, what they call a warrant is basically kind of like a check, a supplement, yeah. Thanks, Liz. It's the additional supplement of money that the state of Louisiana will grant a DA to fill a position. So the number of assistants he has is normally equal to the number of warrants that the state issues because we supplement their salaries. And so we're going to be working with him to try to get that. I mean, he needs the resources here. We're not going to have our capital city in the condition that it is in. It's not going to be reflected. Maybe the rest of the country wants their capitals in shambles. I don't.
Any last questions?
Any more? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that there's not really like a timetable for how long this operation will go on. You're just hoping to see a significant reduction in crime. Is there a certain threshold that you're interested in meeting or anything like that? What does that look like for you to achieve this goal?
Yeah, I mean, I would say when we go into Glen Oaks and Banks and people are smiling and not scared to go outside and kids can play in the street, it would be a great day.
It's a good one.
Good, okay. All right. Again, listen, I want to thank our federal partners. I cannot tell you how heartwarming it's been to have such a great relationship with our federal partners. And I think that the people of this state should appreciate and hopefully thank these folks here, because when they get involved, as the district attorney said earlier, it makes a difference. Criminals have a tendency to behave a little better when they know that the federal government is around. And so again, I want to thank the U.S. Department of Justice, Allison Travis, Jonathan Jackson, U.S. Marshal, DEA. I forgot to mention DEA. We've got so many of them that have been involved. It's hard for me. If I miss one, I do apologize, but I want to thank them again. And thank you all.